Good morning, Europe. Another day of World Cup qualifying from Europe is in the books. I'm your host, Sahil, covering everything that happened last night. It is getting closer and closer. Now we are at the final match day. But my, oh my, were there some crazy, crazy results last night. Here's the scores. We're going to get into all that. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, stay tuned for this video. I'm going to start off in Group C. And we all said this could come down to the final match day between Denmark and Scotland. But boy, oh boy, did we not expect it to go the way it did, because Scotland, of course, lost in Greece. But Denmark, a few moments of madness against Belarus, and Denmark could not get the job done. We, of course, have talked extensively about Norway, and we've been talking about Scandinavian football from the beginning, but boy, was it a terrible day for Scandinavian football today compared to how good it was for Norway a few days ago, because Denmark did not get the 3 points that would have actually, based on Scotland's result, all but surely put them into the World Cup. Now, because of those crazy few minutes that happened in Denmark, where Belarus scored 2 goals, now it's going to all come down to the final match in Hampden Park, where if Scotland wins, they will get in to the World Cup in the direct qualification spot instead of Denmark. Wild stuff that happened. Let me talk about the match in Greece a little bit. So there was always this danger for Scotland that the Greek team that has not made it count in this particular campaign would have one of those days where they scored a bunch of goals. This was a tale of two halves, because I thought Greece was very good in the first half, and the beginning part of the second half, they took advantage of a lot of missed chances by Scotland, went up 3-0, and at that point in time, you think it's match over. But I got to give Scotland a lot of credit for the fight back they pulled in this particular match, and if it wasn't for the Greek goalkeeper of Lakadimos, Scotland would have tied this match. Scott McTominay had a sitter. There's a couple other sitters that really, if it wasn't for Odysseus Lakadimos, they would have made it through. It makes you wonder how Greece would have done in the campaign as a whole had this keeper played instead of the previous keeper. But Scotland really, really would have felt hard done that they didn't get something from this match, despite falling behind 3 goals, because that comeback was on. And like I said about the McTominay chance, 9 out of 10 times that goes in. And it looked like all hope was lost for Scotland and they would be heading back to the playoffs. But then the crazy stuff that happened in Denmark, it was just unthinkable. I know the Danish fans, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, but this match to me, after Denmark took the early lead, Mikkel Damsgaard, great goal. After that, it just didn't feel incisive enough. It didn't feel like, okay, let's go out and get the second goal to put this match away. I think they didn't really feel like there was any chance that Belarus was going to score. And at that point, they just sat back, Belarus. There wasn't much the Danes were really creating. There wasn't really clear-cut chances. Yes, there were a lot of shots. But then it kind of got to this point where suddenly the game turned on its head, and now they were behind. They were chasing the match. And of course, they did get the goal to equalize. And then Dorgu, 2 golden opportunities toward the end of the match to win the match, and he missed both of those chances. It's just a situation now where, because of that, Denmark and Scotland with everything to blame for. So if you're a Scottish fan, you got to be the happier of the two teams, I think, the way things went, because now they go from not having any chance to having a match at Hampden Park to go to the World Cup. Yes, they have to win, but I think if I was Scotland or I was Denmark, I would be more happy being Scotland at the ways that the matches went today versus the Danes, who now will think of this as a missed opportunity. A lot to figure out for both teams, though, before that match. I will, of course, be looking forward to that one, and we will come back to you after that match to give you that recap. So that's how this group finishes. Of course, Greece is out. They do get the win. Belarus surprisingly pulled off the draw in Denmark, and that's what keeps this group going. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next group I want to talk about, which is the Austria, Bosnia, Romania group. And here's another one where things were looking like Austria was heading toward the World Cup because Romania was ahead in the first half. But I want to call out two players in particular on Bosnia. Mr. Edin Dzeko, who everyone knows, this legend for Bosnia. We've all been watching him for years. He scores the first goal to bring Bosnia back at the beginning of the second half. And then the second name I got to say is Mr. Esmir Bayraktarovic, who, of course, Bayraktarovic was a U.S. youth player who chose to play for Bosnia, and he scored a golazo, the golazo which gave Bosnia the lead in this particular match. They go on to win and now set up a clash against Austria. And then that one again, they got to go to Vienna. But if Bosnia wins, they are going to the World Cup instead of Austria. So this was a huge second half for the Bosnians, and it sets up what an exciting match that's going to be in that last match. I mean, I can't wait for that one either. So much to play for in that match, and credit due to this youngster who could have played for the U.S. national team, chose Bosnia instead. You guys benefited from a potential player that our U.S. national team could have had. So, Bosnia, congratulations, getting the result you need. And this obviously qualifies Bosnia at least into second place. Romania is going to the playoffs through that Nations League position, but no longer will they be able to get through to the World Cup directly, and no longer will they be able to get through via the second place spot in the group. They weren't going to get through anyway in terms of the direct spot, but that's how kind of it finishes up in this particular group. Like I said, all to play for in that final Group H encounter between Austria and Bosnia. Now moving on to the next group here, which was actually in the balance because Switzerland was tied with Sweden for a little bit, but Switzerland will actually be moving on and Kosovo into the playoffs. I know it's technically not done, but like I always say on the show, we ignore the technicalities because we know when things are going to happen and when they're going to be too out of reach for a team to make up the goal difference, which is the case here for Kosovo. But an impressive win for Kosovo in Slovenia. This time, Aslani, Mr. Fiznik Aslani with a goal. It's a good week to have the last name Aslani, the goal scorer for Albania, Christian Aslani, and now Fiznik Aslani for Kosovo. So a great goal to start things off. And of course, they win in Slovenia, which locks up the second place. It was very close. Kosovo is going to be very disappointed because they host Switzerland in the last match, and now there's really nothing to play for in that match. But impressive result by Kosovo. This gets them guaranteed into the second place playoff. Interestingly, that Bosnia and Kosovo could be in that playoff group. And of course, they're not allowed to play each other based on UEFA rules, but good performances by both of those countries from a similar region in Europe. Congratulations to the Kosovons, as well as I mentioned before, the Swiss, who will be going to the World Cup. And we can say it now. We've talked a lot about how we really like this manager, where Yakin has got this team performing very well. And they showed today against a Sweden team that has just been terrible. Let me just show those standings again. And we talked so much about this Swedish team, and we're like, when is this team going to show up? Now they have Graham Potter as the coach, and we're thinking, okay, is that going to change the luck for this team? Are they going to finally be able to get ahead and do what they need to do? Because they are going to be in the playoffs through that Nations League position. But again, today, not enough in terms of the performance, and Switzerland just steamrolled them 4-1. Yes, it was tied for a little bit, and you thought, okay, is the game going to go back and forth? But realistically, as the match kept going and going and going, I never really felt that Sweden was going to make that comeback like they did in the first half to get things level. I never really felt that this was going to happen in the second half. and then Switzerland gets through. So I want to talk about now two other teams that are going to be at the World Cup. We will start off with the Spanish team. Of course, here they are. They will be there because, again, this is a situation where Turkey, yes, they won today. And yes, it's technically not done. But look at that goal difference between Spain and Turkey. So even if Turkey pulls the upset of all upsets in Spain, the goal difference is not going to be enough. So congratulations to La Furia Roja, who will be, of course, at the World Cup. Surprise, surprise. They're the number one ranked team right now in the world. So that's not surprising at all with regard to that. So, of course, Spain is going to be there. And then another team I will say is officially going to be there is the Belgians. Now, this Belgian team, if you look at these results here, right, they didn't exactly waltz through this campaign. And really, the two matches that they got 6 points off were the Wales matches. So against the teams that were, you could say, the lower down teams in the group, Belgium actually struggled quite a bit. You know, they had the draws with North Macedonia. Today, they had the draw with Kazakhstan away. They haven't really shown themselves to be that powerhouse team that they have been in the past years. Yes, it's a different roster now. Of course, missing some of the big players for this particular match against Kazakhstan. But this is a team that once again finds themselves into the World Cup. And in the World Cup, never underestimate this Belgian team because on their day, on a given day when they're performing at top level, they're a very, very hard team to beat. I want to go back to that group real quick and talk about the other scenario that is presenting itself here. Because here's how it goes, where Wales and North Macedonia will be playing each other for that final match. It's in Cardiff. Now, you look at the standings, and you also, for those of you who have been watching closely, you know that both of these teams will be making it into through the Nations League playoffs. Either of them will get through based on that. Why it matters is because whoever wins that match, or in this case, if Wales wins and finishes ahead of North Macedonia, they will host a playoff match in all likelihood. Otherwise, if you finish in that Nations League 4 positions that it takes to get into the playoffs, you will be away and you will play the top tier of teams who are ranked in pot 1, which of course could be in Italy, which I'm sure everyone wants to avoid playing that match. So that is why it all matters. Exciting end to match day 9. That is it. It's in the books. We have covered all the matches here, and we are looking forward to the exciting final match day in European World Cup qualifiers. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. See you all after the next round. Keep watching the beautiful game.